I hope you're excited for all the decorating we're about to do. In today's video, we are going to start decorating the mantle, which I kept pretty simple, but I'll give you some do's and don'ts when decorating your mantle. We also got the 12-foot Grand Duchess tree from Home Depot. I'll give you step-by-step instructions on how I decorated my 12-foot tree, and a few things I added to help it look a little bit more magical. And I will finish up the living room by adding a few simple touches. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So here is the living room that we are starting off with. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I am so glad to have you. We're gonna start with the mantle. And one of the things that I use for the mantle are these command strips or command cords, or maybe they're even called command bundles. And I'm double layering garland, and those did not hold. So if you have garland that's a little bit lighter, then I would recommend it. I used it for my fall garland, but if you have heavy garland and you're going to be adding a lot to it, then my little trick here is, actually I got this idea from a subscriber about 2 years ago, to use chicken wire. So if you're up for it, we nailed in little hooks at the very back of the mantle. At our old house, we did it in the wall because our mantle, we weren't able to do that. But here we nailed them into our mantle, and then I used a zip tie to tie in that chicken wire. I'm going to cover the top and have it drape down just a little bit. That way I can easily either zip tie in, or if I have any picks, I can just stick them directly in without having to worry about anything falling. Also, another reason why I like this is we used to have the heavy stocking holders that would go, on top of the mantle. And I read, something about it being dangerous if you have small kids and then they kind of tug on the stocking, that those stocking holders can come down. So after, my kids got old enough to start pulling on them, I decided not to use those stocking holders anymore for the mantle. And then last year we just zip tied the stocking in, and it is not going anywhere. When I used those command bundles on stockings 2 years ago, after 3 days, they all started falling down. So I guess, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But what I'm going to do next is add this main piece it's the Norfolk garland, and I purchased this at a local store by me called Craftex. A lot of my decor is from Craftex, and it's Craftex. I'll link the website down below. They ship some stuff, but not everything. So I'm just going to link the website, and then you can kind of shop around. But mantles are one of my favorite things to decorate. Oh my gosh, you can get so creative with the asymmetric garland draping off of the side. You can have it drape down both sides, which is what I did do last year. The year before, I had it asymmetrically draped down. This year, I did not want to drape it down either of those ways. So we have a big display on the right, which I decorated in last week's video. So if you haven't seen that video, you can see exactly how I decorated that space. And then on the left is we have like the door entryway, and then I have that olive tree right there. So I didn't want to have it go asymmetrical because I feel like the way the living room was, it would have kind of thrown it off. So I got this cedar garland that if you hold it up, it drapes straight down. So I am doing a little bit of mixing and matching of garland, which is definitely a do for me. I like mixing and matching a bunch of different greenery to give it some different depth and, different color, just those different shades of color. Now, you don't necessarily have to mix and match the garland itself. You can always have one piece of garland and then mix and match different picks of greenery throughout. I am doing a very green foresty theme this year. All of my other years I have had everything flocked, which I love, but this year I took a completely different direction. So this gives off a bit of this weeping willow tree vibe. and then we'll add some details to make it festive. So because our mantle is right below the TV, that is a TV with the frame on it, I wanted to avoid a lot of decorations going up and a lot of like flashy lights. This is different from our old house if you have seen any of our decorating from previous years. If our mantle was not directly below the TV, then I would have probably added some lights to the garland before I hung it. But I'm actually gonna go a different direction here and not add lights at all. And I'm gonna have a focus on everything draping downwards, opposed to upwards, and also not have a bunch of big and bulky items next to the TV on top of the mantle. So the idea is to not overwhelm the space. And I don't know about y'all, but with Christmas decorating, I'm always in this struggle of thinking that it needs more and also thinking that it needs less, like at the same time. So that is where I was with this mantle. Now I have these gold picks and I started to attach them into the center of the mantle, and later on I take them out and decide to do something different with them. But what I did like was draping the bells. I have 3 bells draped down. These bells are from Craftex, but I bought very similar bells from Amazon, and I've used them throughout different areas of the house. I've seen a lot of bells this year, so I think bells are probably trending. But the next thing that I'm doing is adding a little bit of ribbon in and out, or weaving it in and out the top of the mantle. So I really like the way this turned out. I play around a lot with it, and then I decide to, before I actually hook it in, I change the direction of where I'm going. I have a lot of top heavy stuff and I keep going. I need it to drape down. I want to kind of draw the eye a little bit downward towards the fireplace. So I decide to take those picks and then hook them into the top of the mantle, or actually it's getting hooked all into the chicken wire, and then have it falling down along with those cedar leaves. So you can ask yourself the question, where do you want the focal point to be? And then try to complement that area. I want the focal point to be the actual draping of the cedar. So I'm going to try to complement the draping and the downwardness, opposed to adding a bunch to the top of the garland. So however your mantle is, or however your garland is, either way is going to look beautiful. It's really just personal preference of where do you want that focal point to be. The gold garland, that is from At Home. And I always used to say I would come on here and do a lot of decorating. A lot of y'all found me throughout the years of my Christmas decorating, and I would always go, I'm not a professional decorator. And that was like a way to protect myself if I did something wrong, that like any professionals would be like, no, you're not supposed to do it that way. So, but then I would have subscribers saying, stop saying you're not good at this, or stop saying you're not a professional at this. And I stopped saying that. And my point in all that, and real quick, I didn't have any like bread ties, so I cut those pipe cleaners, and I'm going to start working on adding a bit of ribbon in the top area. But my point behind that, and always saying that, is so that you guys know that this is like you can do all of these things. It's attainable. You don't have to be a professional to like your space or make your space look pretty. But also, when you use your creativity and just like make a beautiful space that you like, then just own it. And stop pointing out and picking out all the nitpicky stuff or falling into that comparison trap. But the next do for your mantle is add ribbon. I love to double layer the ribbon and add a little bit of ribbon here and there to some of the decor that you already have. Especially if you have a bit of color in your ribbons that match your space. Gosh, it's just going to make it pop, those small details. And because this space is all about everything draping down, you better believe that the ribbon is going to also drape down longer than the bells itself. So I have some velvet burgundy ornaments here. Are those teardrop ornaments? I have no idea what that shape is. In my head, I think it's a teardrop, but I don't think that's a teardrop ornament. If you know what that is, let me know. But I have 2 of them. I bought them for the tree, and I'm pulling everything I bought for the tree and adding it to the mantle. I'm playing around with adding ornaments, and I'm in that position where I'm going, does it need more or does it need less? We'll just figure this out. But for the side of the TV, I mean, you can never go wrong with candles. If you don't know what to do, just add a candlestick and then boom, you're good to go. Add a little ribbon on it and then it's perfect. But since I do have that chicken wire, they don't like sit completely flat. So I had to like cut a hole and then stick it in between the chicken wire, if that makes sense, so that it will lay flat on the mantle. I played around with doing like 2 candles, 3 candles, and then I just thought it goes good in pairs. So let's circle back to the ribbon real quick. The burgundy ribbon I have is 2 inches thick and it is wired. So having it wired helps keep its shape, whereas if it was floppy like the ribbon I have on the bells, then it would be a lot harder to weave in and out of garland. So do get wired ribbon, or let's say I personally prefer wired ribbon for weaving in and out of garland. And then I personally like non-wired ribbon, or I just call it floppy ribbon, for like bells or if you're like making bows that you want to drape down. So lastly, instead of adding a bunch of sparkly, twinkle, bright lights, which would be like right under the TV, right above the fireplace, I'm just going to add a few simple candles. Now, this like hanging candles on trees and stuff has been trending a lot this year. I've seen it all over Instagram with the burgundy. It's gorgeous. So instead of using these candles in the tree, like I've seen it a lot, I'm going to use it on the mantle. I got some fishing wire I'm just going to use to tie it around the candle. I've seen people add little tiny bows on the bottom of the candle, but I'm just going to use this. I've already dropped and broke them. The amount of candles I have dropped and just broke this year has been quite a bit. I know you guys are telling me just hot glue it together. I have to get the hot glue gun. I'll do it later. But I want to hang it and see what it actually looks like without just regular Christmas lights. And after hanging the first one, I'm going to kind of taper them. Everything gets a little bit, there's a little Christmas hook. That's what I use to hook it into either the chicken wire or I'll just use a branch. And definitely a must do this year. I love the way it turned out, especially since there's so much light coming from the TV. There's going to be a lot of light coming from the fireplace when it's turned on. I didn't want like tons of light. It's right in the garland. So y'all, I think it turned out great. Definitely add the candles to your mantle this year. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this up. I'm so excited. This is my favorite mantle I have ever created. So let me know what y'all think. Unless you hate it, you don't have to let me know. But we're going to move on to the Christmas tree. Now, when we first moved into this house in June, that was for sure one of the things I was thinking about. Was I have this huge 12-foot flocked Christmas tree, and I was like, it's not going to fit in this house because our ceilings go, like, if they go to a point, they can go up to 15 feet, but it's not 15 feet around all of the ceilings, if that makes sense. But I kind of did some measurements. I figured it out. If we put the tree in front of the sliding glass doors, then it should fit perfectly. And I was going to pull out my big old flocked 12-foot tree, unfluff it, or fluff it out, not unfluff it. I'm sorry. Let's not get into that conversation. Fluff it out and then add all of my beautiful lights that I have. And then somebody posted on Instagram, Living with MB. She's my favorite decorator Instagrammer. She's so funny. She's great. She posted that the tree, this viral tree, came back in stock. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Bam, I ordered it online. So the thing with this tree is that it sells out pretty fast. There's two, I guess you can say, like viral trees from Home Depot, and it is the Grand Duchess home decorators, which is what I have, and then there's also the Elegant home decorators. And the Elegant, though, does not come in 12 foot. So the Elegant does not change colors, but in my opinion, it does have like more light. So it just depends on your preference, on what you want. So anyway, I needed the 12-foot tree, and the thought of fluffing it out, saved me a lot of time, and adding more lights just made me go ahead and purchase it. So like the tips of it I'm trying to show are like a rubbery feel, and then once you get into the tree, it's more of that traditional, I don't know what that's called, that kind of material. So it's almost like it has two different material, but also with the 12-foot tree, I feel like the lights don't go in deep as much. But anyway, if you know me, I have to touch every branch and fluff it all out. So even if you don't have to, I'm doing it anyway because I just like to make sure, fill in the holes. But y'all, this saved me hours. It saved me hours of fluffing and adding lights. So I do not regret getting this tree. Now, I do have a couple of issues with the tree as I'm decorating, but I'll get into that later. For now, I'm putting it up and making sure all the lights work. The very first year I was on YouTube, I put up my whole tree, and I didn't decorate it yet. I put the whole tree up and bam, turned it on, and I'm like, what the heck? Only 2 lights worked. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I'm trying to video. I'm trying to like do it all perfect, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. And then that's when I went on this big hunt to find my flocked tree. And I will say, when I bought this tree, it canceled the order on me. And so I was like, oh no, here we go again. I'm just gonna, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But then I ended up going to Home Depot, and I was like, why did y'all cancel the order on me last night? And they were like, I don't know, our system's been having issues, but it was in stock. So we ended up picking it up in person. And one of the things that I do, if you've seen any of my past videos, is I will decorate it as if it were 2 different trees. So I will put like 3 layers on the original stand, and I would get a second stand and do the top 2 layers on that stand. So that way I can do the topper, I can do anything I need to do, and decorating wise, and then I'll put the topper on. Now with this tree, I could not do that. The way that it goes in, there's like little grooves, so it like goes in and you have to twist it and it hooks in. And my other topper, it didn't hold it. So anyway, I have to decorate on the ladder, which is whatever. We'll do it. The next thing I'm doing, so the first thing I do when I decorate a tree is add ribbon. And what I like to do is double layer the ribbon and then weave it in and out of the tree. Now, I did get this like flowery garland. So what I did first, before I started the ribbon, was add that garland in the front section and then drape the ribbon right underneath it, if that makes sense. Now, I will say I struggled a lot with this tree. I struggled decorating this tree, and I like to think I know what I'm doing, but I don't know. I just struggled. But Hopefully at the end you guys will think that it turned out great. But what I'm doing is pulling out, I'm decorating with 3 colors. My color scheme this year was burgundy, gold, and emerald green. So I'm pulling out all of the other ribbon I've had from previous years, a lot of the gold and the emerald green. And then I'm gonna add in the new ribbon I got this year, which was all of the burgundy. Now I do cut the ribbon in sections and then layer them like I'm doing there. And then I weave it in and out of the tree. And I usually just use a tree branch to tie in the section. I pull the section out to give it a nice round loop. Like, don't just pull it straight down. You want that nice loop. And then once I get the right, like, how long I want it, then I'll cut it. Because each ribbon you can do so many different things with. You can do double loops, you can do one loop, you can add a nice little tail at the end. But with this tree, I had a hard time like hooking it into this tree. Like, it wouldn't stay like my old tree. I really needed those bread ties to tie it in. So that was kind of one of the struggles I had with this tree, was just really getting it all hooked in. But what I'm gonna do is just take a couple of pieces, double layer it, and then again, just weave it in and out of the tree. I like most of the ribbon to all go within the same direction. For example, you can do it like just vertically, but don't add ribbon like horizontally and then try and do vertically, because it won't flow nicely together. And another reason why I like to cut the ribbon is because it gives it more coverage, meaning you can kind of use a little bit less ribbon than if you were to just try to keep it all intact. But really, again, it's always just like your personal preference for it. Now I got fed up and I took the top of the tree off. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to weave this ribbon in and out of the very top of the tree. So I took it off. I'm just leaning it against the couch. I'm having my daughter help me hold it up. I'm gonna decorate as much as I can on the top section, and then we're gonna just add that top section back up on top of the tree. Another thing, since I've changed colors this year, is I thought I had a bunch of gold picks to add this beautiful picky tree topper, and I realized that I didn't have any. So my tree topper is going to be a little bit less this year, which it's okay. I got these ginormous ornaments from Craftex, and I'm going to pop in these ornaments in any sort of open spots or spots where I feel like there's a lot of gaps. I also have a couple of these branches. I used those on our mantle last year that I'm gonna just add in to just have it like flow down a little more. So after the ribbon is usually when I start adding different picks throughout the tree. Like if you have berries or anything fun, I would do that. I didn't have any picks to add besides a couple of those branches. So next, I usually add specialty ornaments. Now, my specialty ornaments are going to be the burgundy, because those are where I need the color to really pop off. I usually add ball ornaments at the very end. And the reason being is because you want those specialty ornaments to really take up that prime real estate in your tree. And then, you just fill in the remaining with the ball ornaments. But I'm going to add some of these thick candles throughout the tree. Like I mentioned before, the stick candles that I put in the mantle are popular throughout the tree, but I want to do something a little bit different. So we'll see if these thicker candles will look good. I also ordered some extra gold ornaments from Amazon, and when they came in, they were a little bit too brassy for my tree. My tree gold color is a little bit more champagne color, so I ended up not using these, although they are really pretty. These ornaments I got at Craftex. These are like big jewels, and I'm going to also incorporate these throughout the tree. So let's throw these in and see what we come up with. Whenever I was doing the ribbon, something was bugging me, and it was because I did do this big strand draped in. So I decided to go in and cut it in little pieces so it looked a little bit more scattered than what it was before. So I'm going to finish it up with the icicle lights and then add the candles in the end. I wanted to give y'all a quick reminder that if you have been wanting to start a YouTube channel, my behind the camera YouTube Power Program coaching and course is open. I will be personally coaching you on how to grow a YouTube channel. There is more information in the description box below. I really encourage you to check it out. This program has changed my life. YouTube has changed my life. I would not be here in this house with all this stuff if it wasn't for YouTube, and that is why I am sharing everything I've learned and would love for you to be a part of the program if that interests you.
Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play. Santa Claus is packing the presents, making sure you've been behaving okay. Merry Christmas, honey. Yeah. The snowman's dusting off his hat, on the show for everybody, to give them a smile that lasts another year. There's something that happens when sleigh bells are ringing, when December ends.
All right, here she is. I think she's a beauty. Now, I got this tree skirt from Hobby Lobby or this tree collar, and I know that it doesn't fit. I'm testing it out here, but I'm really putting it in the tree in our entryway, which that video is coming out next week. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the entryway. It looks so good. But after I already filmed all of the really pretty night shots that I'm going to show in a minute, the tree collar came in. I ordered this one from Balsam Hill. It is really pretty. It was pricey. I would maybe recommend looking around on Amazon or something, but for now I'm going to be using it for the long run. So I think it's really pretty. I did have to order the one that was 33 inches because there was one I liked, but I noticed it would only fit a 28-inch-ish tree. So make sure you look for measurements. But here are a few shots of the tree before we move on and finish the living room.
Hey there, buddy. It's just me again. Came into my mind last night, so I'm just checking in. It's been far too long now since I last saw you, my friend. So happy Christmas from me to you. Hey there, buddy. It's just me again. I wonder what you're doing now. And if you're listening, I just wish that...
Next, I'm going to add some burgundy pillowcases to the pillows that I already have. I find just switching out pillowcases is so much easier than having to store a bunch of different pillows. But I initially had it on, tried to put it on some of, I think that's a 20 by 20. I don't remember the size, but it ended up being too smushed. So I needed to get the right size pillowcase. But I got these at our house a couple months ago, and I wouldn't probably buy pillowcases from there, but they were on clearance for like $22. So I snagged them when they were on clearance. I know somebody had commented about that I have a lot of expensive furniture, and I like to say that I am a bougie buyer, especially with furniture, but I will tell you that I do stock prices. So I will, if there's something that I just can't stop thinking about, I will literally look at it like a few times a week see when, like, I think I have some of these stores, their sales and deals like down to a T, and then when it goes on sale is typically when I snag it. But Rai, he did not want the white light, so I don't know how well the burgundy goes with all of the colors, but that's his favorite. But anyway, we will move on. I'm going to add just a little something to this coffee table because, you know, obviously I have a bunch of kids. I would just leave this coffee table plain and not put anything on it, but I thought that adding a few different candles would be super cute. I have a little bit of leftover ribbon, so I'm going to double layer the tails of the bows on the candles and see what it looks like. Like I say, if you don't know what to do in a space, just add candles. You can't go wrong with having a bunch of candles. I get a lot of my candlesticks from Home Goods, but these particular ones were from like this little boutique shop that I found. But all the rest of my candle holders are from Home Goods. I had some of these extra stems that I pulled out of one of the pots I had in the kitchen, and I also got that little maroon deer from Home Goods, and I ended up not liking the stem. Something was just off about him, so I ended up taking them out, and I am using an extra piece of garland that I had to wrap around, and I think it looks so much better. But I thought this was just a cute and simple setup with just some of the stuff I had already. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got tons of good ideas that you can pull and incorporate in your own home. I do have a couple more Christmas videos coming out, so be sure to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see y'all next week.